Breaking moments ago, MSNBC has just confirmed, reporting from Reuters, that an FBI agent in the Washington field office has been fired. And they were fired for refusing to arrest and perp walk James Comey. Now, the Washington field office covers the Eastern District of Virginia. Comey is being allowed to surrender for booking at his arraignment next week. They wanted to perp walk Jim Comey.
Yes.
A reminder, Michael, that this is about humiliation and not actually about accountability or justice.
Absolutely, Alicia. It's always about Donald Trump getting retribution for the humiliation he thought or felt was placed upon him. And so to the same extent that, you know, he had his mugshot. Well, he took his mugshot and turned it into a multi-million-dollar T-shirt.
Well, he also tried to steal an election. That's why he got a mugshot in Georgia in the first place.
Yes, but in his mind, that part didn't happen. What did happen was the mugshot. And so anytime he can find a corollary, and this was one, he wants to level that up as best he can and have his minions do the same. So, yeah, it is about the humiliation. It's about the embarrassment of it. And it's also about that retribution. And I just shout out kudos to that. And we've been talking about this. Within these institutions, the guardrails are there. The question is, can they hold those individual guardrails? Will they be able to hold? Which is why I say they need to lock arms more often to strengthen those guardrails against such things.
It just, I mean, we need to, I know Ken Delaney and our colleague is reporting this. Shout out to Ken Delaney and our other colleague, Carol Lennig. They have been breaking amazing stories over the last couple of days, really peeling back the layers for the American people about what is happening inside the Eastern District of Virginia, inside the Justice Department writ large. I know that we're going to learn more about just additional details about this, but on its face, it seems like there's grounds for a lawsuit here. FBI agents are not, they don't work, they do not swear an oath, much like the other public servants in the government. They do not swear an oath to the President of the United States or to the FBI director. They swear an oath to the Constitution and to the law. I think we always have to say this, or at least for me, it's very important. Look, James Comey is no sparkling flower, okay? He is not, there are many people in this country that feel as though the actions that then FBI Director James Comey took led directly to Donald Trump being elected the president the first time. None of that matters because James Comey is just one in a long line of individuals. So for folks who are like, oh, well, I don't know if we should defend James Comey. No, we have to defend James Comey and everybody else because fear is the policy here. That is their political weapon of choice, and they're using the full force of the federal government to enact political persecution and retribution on behalf of one man.
I think, Alicia, you have to, and I really kind of bristle when I hear folks, as Simone aptly referenced, you know, make that comparison. Well, you know, I'm not a fan of James Comey because of what happened in 2016. Okay, that's then. But the reality of it is you don't want the system ever to be weaponized against anyone, regardless of what they may have done in the past or what you may have thought of their actions in the past. What we need to stay focused on right now, folks, is what's happening to your neighbors, your families, your community, your country by a rogue president and a rogue administration of bad actors who don't give a damn about the Constitution, who find ways every week, every day to step on it, to step on its words and its full meaning. And so, yes, you can point back in the past and say, oh, X, Y did that, and I'm not happy about it. But look at what's happening today. So James Comey is no different than any other citizen. He's a private citizen who's being hauled in front of a judicial process for what? For what? And that's where you always have to ask yourselves, why is this happening? And it's happening because one man is so insecure and is so juvenile in his thinking that this is the only way he can't move on from it. And we get caught up in it. And that, for me, Alicia, is a bigger problem than what James Comey did in 2016.
Remember when I said that the ACA premium tax credit extensions that Democrats are asking for is popular? When I say popular, I mean really popular. I mean like puppies in apple pie popular. According to new polling from the KFF, a whopping 78% of people say that Congress should extend those tax credits. That, of course, includes 92% of Democrats, no surprise, but also 82% of independents and even 59% of Republicans. Let's dig even deeper into that last number, because this is very interesting. A full 57% of self-identified MAGA supporters say that the ACA tax credits should be extended. As I said, it's popular, very, very popular. Even a majority of Trump's own supporters want what Democrats are asking for. That's what that polling tells us. And that level of support shouldn't be surprising, really. I mean, given that over 70% of people who receive ACA tax credits live in states that voted for Donald Trump. What is head spinning? One of the things that's head spinning about this entire standoff is that Trump and Republicans think they're owning the libs, but they're really just hurting their very own voters. They'd rather dig their heels in clearly than take the political win that is sitting right in front of them. And on some level, people inside Trump's White House seem to recognize that what they're doing is not at all a great idea. I mean, according to new reporting from the Wall Street Journal, Trump's advisors are worried that the GOP will take the blame for allowing health care subsidies to expire, raising costs for millions of Americans ahead of next year's midterm elections. His advisors even acknowledged privately this week that allowing the subsidies to expire could cause political headaches for a president who was elected in large part because of voter frustrations with inflation and the rising cost of living. Now, I mean, it is very safe bet that allowing the subsidies to expire will cause political headaches for Trump. But the thing is, we don't even know if Trump is fully aware of this. I mean, he could literally have no idea that millions of his own voters are about to be paying up to you-know-what to afford their health care plans. Because a far too common theme in this second Trump presidency is that Trump does not know what is going on within his own administration. Just this week, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said after his White House meeting with Trump that after laying out the health care consequences to him, Trump, quote, looked like he heard about them for the first time. It has been increasingly clear that Trump's own people seem to leave him in the dark on the goings-on and key decisions, really, being made in his own administration. I mean, consider this headline from the New York Times earlier this week. Trump cuts to counterterrorism funds for New York reach $187 million. Now, if you saw that headline earlier this week, you would have thought Donald Trump signed off on those cuts, had been briefed on those cuts, or at least had some idea that they were happening. Those are big cuts to counterterrorism in New York. Well, think again. Because according to new reporting from the New York Times today, Trump didn't know about the cuts until New York's Governor Kathy Hochul called him and urged him to change course. And today he did change course and said it was his great honor to do so, as if he was providing some magical new funding for law enforcement and not just not doing the cuts that his administration had approved. If those cuts had stayed in place, it would have been the largest federal defunding of police operations in New York in decades. So, of course, he reversed course. But apparently, somehow, the president of the United States didn't have a clue that they were being put in place in the first place. And when he finally got wind of what his own administration had done, he threw things in reverse. Not a great look. But here's the lesson. Gravity does still exist. Trump might not care about policy or even understand policy or the people that bad policy affects. But every now and then, even he can recognize when something is too stupid to possibly justify. So will he throw things in reverse on the shutdown fight too? Who knows? But he'd be pretty stupid not to. Okay, starting us off tonight is Democratic Congressman Van Goldman of New York. He's a member of the House Homeland Security Committee. So, Congressman, let me start there. I mean, the Trump administration halts nearly $200 million in counterterrorism funding, a huge amount to New York, obviously. Trump has apparently no idea. When he finds out about it, he reverses course and then takes credit. There's a lot packed in there. What do you think this whole episode reveals about the state of this administration?
Well, it first of all reveals that they want to defund the police. And part of Project 2025 is to do just that. So when they bash defunding the police, they ought to look right in the mirror, because that's what they're doing. The second thing is that Donald Trump is the king of creating his own fires and then putting them out. He did that back in December with the budget deal, where he threw in the debt ceiling and then he pulled out the debt ceiling and claimed that he was giving a great sacrifice. I think one of the things that we realize now on the Democratic side is we're not playing Donald Trump's shenanigans and his games anymore. What we are fighting for is simply healthcare for Americans, for millions and millions of Americans. You listed some of it. There's more. And the Republican bill that they claim they just want to pass as a clean CR is far from clean. It's very dirty. It's very one-sided. But most importantly, it cuts health care for millions of Americans, and it increases premiums for tens of millions more. And so we're not going with Donald Trump's games and his play acting of, AI, or I'm going to cut things and then put them back and act like the savior. The fact of the matter is they cut counterterrorism funding in New York City, where 9/11 occurred in my district. And then they realized, oh, shoot, that's probably not good. Let's put it back. And this has happened time and time again. And it will continue to happen because this is a completely chaotic administration that has no North Star other than Russ Vought trying to cut as many jobs and as much funding that Americans rely on as possible.
Donald Trump's latest push to go after James Comey is straight out of his old playbook. Weaponize the government to settle personal grudges. Accountability is nowhere in sight. The goal is humiliation dressed up as law enforcement. Think about it. An FBI agent was fired for refusing to arrest and perp walk Comey, a man who had already agreed to surrender. Normal procedures never even required that step. The order only existed to create a viral moment of public shaming. A political stunt was disguised as justice. Trump's obsession with Comey revolves around retribution for perceived slights. The mugshot moment flipped into a multi-million-dollar t-shirt grift all over again. He thrives on creating enemies and spectacles because those keep his base riled up. Policy outcomes or stronger institutions are never the actual point. The whole idea is to turn those institutions into tools for revenge. And this is exactly why the guardrails of democracy matter. FBI agents swear loyalty to the Constitution, not to a president. When Trump pressures them to break norms and act like his personal police force, he undermines the very principles he swore to uphold. Even people who dislike Comey should be alarmed. Today, the target is Comey. Tomorrow, it could be anyone else. Once a president learns that he can jail critics for sport, the entire system crumbles. Meanwhile, Trump's chaos as strategy approach keeps hurting his own voters too. He fumbles major policy decisions, cuts counterterrorism funding, raises healthcare costs, then reverses himself and takes credit as if he saved the day. That's governing by impulse and ego, not competence or principle. The Comey episode shows the real danger of Trump's second term. A president even less informed, more vindictive, and fully willing to bend the government into his personal weapon. The headlines may look absurd, yet the damage runs deep. To the trust in law enforcement, to the justice system, to the idea that no one, not even the president, stands above the law.